here's a really interesting app that I found called Evolution, and it lets you build a wireframe structure out of joints for the dots, black lines for bones, and the pinkish uh, stretchy muscles are actually muscles that allow the object to move as an AI algorithm that's trying to learn a basic function like running, jumping an obstacle, climbing stairs, or flying. So once you're finished building, and here I've built something that to me implies sort of a box that's trying to leap with its lid to create momentum. And you can see it's got a free um, bone structure that ends in a joint, but it's not connected to a muscle except for here. So it's this long counterweight there, and the whole flattened structure on top is also mobile. So it can create interesting forms of motion just by moving certain parts of it itself. That's how this thing learns. Isn't that cool? It looks like a little rabbit, or maybe, like I said, some kind of weird box thing. So that's one of them. This is what it looks like when it's learning to jump. Seems to get jumping a little bit more because it does have those sort of rabbit physics at play. So I'd be interested to see how far this can actually evolve. I've only been using it for a while, and these animations meant to be representing a bunch of settings that have been input, like, yeah, there's lots of stuff there, and these ones here are how many times it's generating itself, but I don't really know what's going on there. But that's the first one I made. Then I made this one to work out how these bones connected to joints that are connected to the structure with muscle are actually a great way to give it a lot of motion, and it's a principle that I'm still trying to work out how to balance against the weight of the structure that you create, because it gives it so much motion through muscles that just freely extend and act like an elastic band. And I worked out by giving it these free spinning bones on each end, enable it to rotate and stabilize, gain momentum from all the other spinning fulcrums, which is quite interesting because it looks like a fully stable shape, but once you enter in these elastic reactions, it's inspired me to think of all different ways that I could use that principle. So it's cool to be able to save these basic structures that I can alter and build off into different variations of what's going on. This is really funny, I think, because it's just going to start gaining more and more momentum. And it is still walking itself down the stairs. It's just an interesting law of motion that I thought I could apply through building a really solid version of that shape. Kind of looks like a 3D representation of a upside down pyramid. That makes sense. I don't think this really flies very well. Just trying to get off the ground. But it's pretty funny because I played around with adding lots and lots of these joints until they're all connected on with muscles, and then it's just a crazy amount of motion at play, but that'll take a few minutes. I'll show you these other ones I made. This one's sort of a millipede type of creature, so I'll put it on running, and you can see it's got elastic momentum joints as well. This one sort of tries to gallop itself, which is pretty cool. I think you could use these as models for a very basic video game. If you just overlay a skin on these, they'd look like some kind of crazy creature with these momentum strings skinned invisible, so it just looked like it was generating motion trying to walk or jump. You'd think a lot of the walking was actually jumping until you see it try to jump and it looks like it's actually trying to walk. I think it's got something to do with the way that it attempts to build momentum from standing. You can see it's trying to equalize its I don't really know, equalize its momentum so that it can go up instead of forward or something. It's just trying to find different ways to create height, I suppose, with the whole structure instead of just an extremity. Oh, there it goes. Look at that, it's flying. It seems to like having a lot of different things going on, gives it more options. And one I just finished making was this one that I think looks kind of like a praying mantis. Went through a few different versions, but its most stable form of movement kind of looks like a praying mantis. And yeah, I think that's pretty cool. It was a beetle for a little bit, and also something that looks more like an ant. That's where it started. And I found the ant was having trouble learning, so then I made it more like a beetle, and it was doing a little bit better. But then I changed the beetle into the mantis, and it seems to really get how to walk this way. And if you can see the way that a mantis body has legs carrying the weight in the frame here, but the frame can support itself with the front arms, and the head is kind of in a full range of movement so that it can express how its wings can create these counterbalance points from the long muscles that would be like where the spine would go. But creating spines in this doesn't exactly help something move because the muscles are more yeah, I don't know, they're not complex enough. You don't get in as many squares, but this thing's working really well. One generation. I'd like to believe there's like perfect versions that you could make based on different animals, like praying mantis. It's not the best jumper. Unlike the actual praying mantis, which I imagine could jump quite well. But it can sort of, you can see it trying to get all four legs to spring off, but maybe if I shortened those legs, there. And that's sort of what you can picture, the way that shortening those would allow all the legs to touch, and then it would be jumping better. I think that's just how it tries to react to stimuli and lift each body part as it would come into contact, or something like that. I don't really know. This one can't really do stairs. It's kind of like an actual ant rolling down the stairs. I've never seen a praying mantis roll down the stairs anyway, but I can imagine an ant tumbling downstairs for some reason. Anyways, that one makes me a bit dizzy. But yeah, you have to get quite a complex network of muscles, and then imagine how moving a dot will extend the muscle and change the nature of the skeletal structure that you created, and that's how you get to really interesting things. But there is basic ones like kangaroo, which I found really quickly if I add a joint down here and here and here, we'll make a tail structure which should stabilize what's going on, mix it with some muscles. And now it's like a kangaroo walking. If we delete this muscle, drove off that one, it's now a kangaroo walking really slowly. I think I deleted the main part of it there. I had this before and it worked a bit better. How is the muscle gonna go? Anyway, this spring's kind of interesting. These are the presets. What's that for? Running? Should put it on jumping. It's kind of spring-like. But yeah, pretty cool app, I think. See if I can show you how this is adding momentum thing works. Just look at him go. So if we do the same thing on the other side, hopefully we can join all these muscles into the same spot. And look at that. It's getting better at moving. trying to jump. How does run go? Self-propelling 3D wireframe triangle pyramid. Isn't that a cool thing that is now something I gave birth to that's alive in the sense that it's slowly evolving and growing more aware of its own capabilities? Or something like that, I don't know. But I find it's quite a therapeutic thing to do.